All right, so we were talking about the interfaces. So FTD can be deployed in the routed mode
Yes,
and in the
it's
IPS mode,
it's loud and clear now. Good.
right? So routed mode and the IPS mode. So now I said that both of them together, you can run this mode, both of them together. That means if I deploy the FTD in a routed mode, that means I can also run this FTD, which is in the routed mode as an IPS mode too. So to utilize that one, I will use the interfaces. So there are different types of interfaces in the FTD, which will allow you to configure your FTD in such a way that it suits each and every environment. So the first will be the routed interfaces. As you know, the routed interfaces is just assigning the IPv4 or IPv6 IP addresses. Okay. Next one is the sub interfaces. Another next thing is the inline interfaces. Now this is the one inline interfaces. This will be acting as a layer 2 ports. So that means if I do have an FTD, okay, this is in the routed mode, and I want to
Mhm.
use these interfaces as an inline mode. So now I'm just inspecting the traffic, whatever it is coming in on this interfaces, and I want to allow the traffic by after inspection. And now this is acting as an IPS mode because I do have a capability to detect that, do the inspection up to layer 7. Still, my firewall is in the routed mode, not in a transparent mode. But I am
Okay, but
using the interfaces as a layer 2 now.
so if I use all the interfaces, because it looks like that's what we have in our environment, we have
Yeah,
8 interfaces on our IPS, but
yeah.
our IPS is deploying in routed mode, but the interfaces are deploying in inline mode. Are we still going to have need to configure routing
Yes,
on the
because
device?
yeah, because see, these two interfaces, for example, gig 0/5 and gig 0/6. So these are the two interfaces which are acting as a layer 2, but my gig 0/0, 0/1, these are like routed interfaces. I can assign IPv4, I can run the routing, I can create the sub interfaces for this one. So these are entirely different now, those interfaces. What I'm saying is that this FTD is in routed mode. I'm breaking this FTD into different categories, like certain interfaces are belonging to routed mode, that is assigning the IPv4 or IPv6 address. Certain interfaces I am running as a IPS mode, which will allow me to do the inspection. So we do have a lab in that one. When we come to the inline mode, we will discuss what will be a scenario where your organizations want you to inspect the traffic for it. All right, so that's the inline one, which will be acting as a layer 2. Another one is the bridge group. Now, for these interfaces, the short form is bridge group, bridge virtual interfaces, BVI interface. So now what this will do is that, if you remember that you do have a switch, right? And on this, these are the ports. So you will say that this port belongs to VLAN number 10, and this port belongs to VLAN number 20, or this port belongs to a trunk port, right? This is how you configure your interfaces. Like you want to tell that certain interfaces belong to certain VLANs and certain interfaces are the trunk VLANs, trunk interface. Same thing goes with the bridge group. So I'm saying that certain interfaces, these, for example, maybe gig 0/1, gig 0/2. Now, this is connected to the switch, maybe, but gig 0/1, this is acting as a layer 2 switch now again. All right, layer 2 switch, but I am not assigning any IPv4 address to this interface. Right? A little bit complicated here because it's a new, what do we say, that it's a new thing. If you're learning, it's a new thing for you, but with the Cisco, it's an old thing. So nothing new with the Cisco. Now, understand this one is pretty good one. The only thing is that you are able to configure in the physical devices. You're not able to configure in the virtual devices. Now for the bridge group, what I want to say is that I do have an FTD. Now, these are the two interfaces. For example, this will be the outside one and this will be the inside one, for example. But I am just creating a virtual interface saying that, okay, BVI interface belongs to 10.1.1.1/24. This is the IP address I have given to the virtual interface of that bridge group. Now, these two interfaces belongs to this group. For example, I will say that bridge group BVI1. So these two interfaces belong to this group now. So when the interfaces are belonging to the same bridge virtual interface group, bridge group, you can utilize that same subnet. How I can make you understand is for example, you do have a switch, right? You are connected to these two and you created a SVI over it. The SVI IP address is 10.1.1.1 and you said that these two interfaces are belonging to, for example, VLAN number 10 and VLAN number 10. The host who is connected in this one has the same IP address on the same network. They are able to communicate, right? It's the same scenario here also, the same thing. But the only thing is that you don't assign the VLAN, but you say that these particular interfaces belong to this particular bridge group. So the hosts which are connected on these groups are under same subnet. For example, I do have a host 10.1.1.2/24 and I do have a host 10.1.1.3/24 now. They can communicate with each other now. And they can also communicate with this BVI 10.1.1, which is inside my FTD. Now, this is like a normal thing, but what's the use of this one? Like I can create one more group now, another interface, and this interface, this group will be of like BVI2, and I'm assigning 10.2.2.0/24 address. Now, the same host 10.2.2.2/24, and here I do have another host 10.2.2.3/24. Now, in my FTD, I do have 10.2.2.1. I am able to communicate with this address. I am able to communicate with this address. Now, if I want to communicate with this address, yes, I can do. If I have these two groups present in the FTD, it is you are able to communicate between these two groups. So, for example, if you do not have this interface, but you do have only group, no. That's in the case of a transparent mode. If you're running the, what do we say? If you're running the FTD in the transparent mode, you are not able to assign any virtual interface. So if you are not running in the transparent mode, if you're running in the routed mode, you are able to configure the IP address and you are able to do the routing. But in the transparent mode, whenever you configure the bridge group, it's just the same thing. Like it's just a switch connected that one, and that's it. Within the same network, it will run. You are not able to do the routing. No routing in this one. In the transparent mode. All right.
So I have a question.
Yes.
For inline interface, do we configure IP address?
No. In inline, also the same thing. Inline only provides layer 2, that's it. You are not able to assign any IP address like virtual interface, SVI or BVI. But with the
so
bridge
it's basically like bumping the wire.
Yes.
Okay.
But with the bridge group, what you are doing is that when you create multiple bridge groups, you are running a certain subnet over them. Certain network, right? For example, this one is 10.1.1.0 network, and these two interfaces are running 10.2.2.0 network. So to these interfaces, whatever the hosts which are connected, if they are available on the same network, they are able to communicate. That's okay. Okay. But again, you do have one host here, you do have one host here. When they want to communicate with each other, again, you have to allow the traffic. Then only it will
even though they belong to the same bridge group.
Bridge group, yes.
We
But
still have to have a policy to allow them.
yes,
So
everything is
what's
policy.
not the use of the bridge group?
Well, it depends upon your scenario, but Cisco has given you the option if you want to run your FTD in a switch mode environment, you can also run. For example, you do have a layer 2 switch, okay, which you cannot create the SVIs in that one and you cannot do the routing. So what you can do is that you can just place the FTD, these two routers, you can create the L2 switch here and all the PCs are connected here, multiple PCs. And you do have in a DMZ, you do have a server over here, right? Now, these all are belonging to the same network, but the thing is that whenever the host are trying to communicate with this server on the DMZ, you want to inspect the traffic and you want to permit the traffic.
Okay, that's like host-based segmentation.
Yeah. But here we do call it a bridge group because I am saying that these two interfaces belong to a certain group, BVI group one, which is running a subnet of 10.1.1.0 network. And if I want to do the routing, that means I do have one more interface which is going to my ISP. I want these interfaces to be, this subnet to be communicated with the ISP. If I have this virtual interface, BVI interface, yes, I am able to do the routing also. But again, in order to communicate with the ISP, you have to configure the NAT in first place. Okay. So it's like a different scenarios where Cisco is trying to make their FTD in a flexible way so that it doesn't want
Yeah,
like
and
people
that's
to go to different firewalls like they don't have the capacity. It says Cisco says that okay, we do have the capacity. Like if you want to run your FTD into your layer 2, yes, run it. If you want to run it in the redundancy, run it. So it gave the option now.
yeah, that's a rare case because number one, the FTD only has limited interfaces as compared to a
Yeah, but
normal switch, and they are very expensive. Why would I buy FTD and run it in?
but the only thing is that see the FTD is coming up means maybe it will be having the output of 10 to 25 gigabytes throughput, right?
Right.
So that's the
Right.
only benefit. So it depends upon the
Yeah.
large environment where they have a lot of FTDs and they want to utilize this facility. Yes, you do have. Now,
All
what
right.
are the,
Please give me 1 sec. I need to use the bathroom. Give
yep.
me 1 minute, please.
All right, so that was your BVI interface. Let's move forward with the another interface that is a redundancy interface. Now again, the redundancy also works like a switched mode only. If this is your FTD and you are having two interfaces now. So now these two interfaces, you are making a redundancy. That means you're making together. If one of the interface goes down, then you can utilize the other one. But at the same time, again, like a switch mode, you can create multiple virtual interfaces. Now these virtual interfaces are like a sub interfaces. You can assign the VLANs to it. And it's like the same thing, like a switch one. You create multiple VLANs in this one. And these two interfaces are like trunk ports. And these are the VLAN ports. So that's the same thing over here. But these two interfaces will be acting as a trunk port because you are going to create multiple sub interfaces for VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and VLAN 10.
That's aggregate interface.
Yeah. So you do also have the option. Then the another one is the tunnel virtual interface.
Mm.
Now this is a pretty straightforward one. So whenever you do have a two routers, when you are able to communicate with each other on the same link, you can create the tunnel interface. That's the same thing. So only for the tunnel interface, what you will say that what is the exit point. That's it. But in the routers, you will say the exit point and you will say the destination. But in the FTD, you will say the only the exit point. That's it.
No, I don't understand. When you have two routers and you want them to be able to communicate together
Yeah,
through your firewall.
I'm just taking a scenario. Mostly whenever there is a tunnel interface, we create it on the router, not on the firewalls. Okay. But firewall also has a capability that you can create a tunnel interface and you can just configure your tunnel, encrypt your tunnel. It's up to you. But you can create a tunnel interface.
So tunnel interface are used for VPN, right?
Yes, mostly. If you
Yeah,
remember
you
that you
can
can use
also
the basic example is the GRE tunnel, and over the GRE tunnel you can route to the routing and all those things. But the GRE tunnel is not encrypted, so you will encrypt the GRE tunnel.
yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
so it's like one side it can be an FTD, another side can be a router. Yes, you can create the tunnel over here. Once the tunnel is being created, it depends what you want to do. You want to do the routing, you want to do the communication of your different LANs and all those things, but that is with respect to the VPNs most of the time. But you do have a capability to create a tunnel interface too. Now again, coming to this virtualization, bridge virtual interface, redundancy interface, and tunnel interface you can create from version 7.0. If your FTD version is below this one, you are not able to create that. Okay, so in the virtualization, what you can do is that you can just go with the routed mode, and you can also create a sub interface mode. That's the only two things you can create in the virtual mode. But the BVI group and the redundancy and tunnel interface, you're not able to create. But how you can create those interface? You can go with that configuration part. Okay, so let's move with the configuration part now. Routed mode. If I can see that. Yep, you can see that I do have this topology now. So on the routed mode, what I'm going to do is that first thing first, I'm going to assign this gig 0/1 as an inside zone, and I will assign an IPv4 address as 172.16.2.10. So first we will configure the routed mode. So let's go that. I will go to the device management. This is my FTD1, which is a blank. I will click on edit. Edit the FTD. Now I said that gig 0/1. I go to the interfaces, gig 0/1. I will click on edit, and I will enable that one, and I will give a name as like inside maybe, but it's up to you, whatever name you want to give. And mode, select none, don't worry. Security zone, I will create a new, and it should be inside. So I'm giving a security zone as inside. Click on OK. Security zone inside. IPv4, I'm giving 172.16.1 dot, sorry, 2.10/24. Let me verify that one. 2.10/24, you have to give it and click on OK. So that was your routed interface. It's a pretty straightforward. There is nothing new. I'm coming to the sub interfaces, so I don't have anything. So what I'm going to do with this sub interfaces over here is that I will say that 2.10 belonging to VLAN number 10, and the subnet will be, do I have any 10 network? No. I will say that 10.1.1.1. And again, 2.20 belonging to VLAN number 20, subnet will be 20.1.1.0. Let's create the sub interfaces now. So to create the sub interfaces, what I'm going to do is that first I'm going to underline that what is my sub interface, that is gig 0/2. So just go to gig 0/2 now, enable that interface, give a name that is DMZ sub interface, and click on OK. Just enable the interface and give a name. That's it. So once that has been done, click save and go to add interface. See that sub interface. Click on it. Now I will say that this one is the DMZ for VLAN number 10. Security zone. This is a routed one, so I will create a new. That will be DMZ for VLAN 10. Click OK. You see that select interface, which interface you want to create into gig 0/2. Select IPv4, that will be 10.1.1.1/24 and click on OK. Invalid sub interface ID, allowed range is 1 to VLAN ID. I did not assign, I think. So if I go back to general, you see that sub interface ID is 2.10 or 10. Only give 10, not 2.10, because it's already taking gig 0/2 dot. So after dot, what is the ID? You have to provide that ID. Again, the VLAN number is the VLAN number 10. That's what I forgot, these two things. And the IP address 10.1.1.1, click on OK. You see that 2.10. Do the same thing again, one more time, and this one will be DMZ VLAN 20. I will create a new security zone for this one again. DMZ VLAN 20. Click on OK. Again, I will select the gig 0/2 and I will give a ID of 20 and a VLAN ID of 20. I will go to IPv4, then I will say that 20.1.1/24, click OK. Now click on save. Now I will go ahead and deploy this one so that I can do the testing. Standard one, interface, deploy and deploy. So now it is deploying. I will go back to my topology and take the CLI for these routers now.
How many FTD do you currently have?
Now only I have one FTD and one FMC, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, last time I have configured the failover for both FTD and FMC. I showed you that one. Now, that takes it. I will also get this one. E0/0. All right, so I do have the 100 and 200, so I will remove that one. All right, so interface E0/0, no shut first, then interface E0.10, encapsulation .1Q10, IP address will be 10.1.2, interface E0/20, encapsulation .1Q20, IP address will be 20.1.1.3. That's it. Now let's go back to my FMC first. To see that configuration has been sent, so I will go back to my edge router, which has the IP address of do show IP interface 3, 172.16.2.254. I will ping to my FTD now, do ping 172.16.2.10. I should be able to ping. All right, so I'm able to reach. That's the routed interface. Let's test with the sub interfaces now. Do ping 10.1.1.1. You see that I'm able to ping. Sub interface is also working. And do ping 20.1.1.1. Sub interface is also working. So if I go back to my, I will take the SSH connection to my FTD. That is FTD1. Admin 123. Show interface IP brief. And I should see that both the interfaces over here. right? Second, the same thing, if I go ahead and ping from this side also, it should be pinging too. And ping 10.1.1.2, pinging, and 20.1.1. So it's just an interface which I have assigned the IP address, is nothing new. Now let's move forward with the other interfaces, that is the BVI interfaces. So if I go back to my topology, BVI interfaces, don't have any. Okay, which one I shall be using? 5 and 6 I am using for inline. All right, so let's get the BVI. I do have a gig 0/3, which is not being used. I'm not using gig 0/3 in my topology, so I will use that one. So I will click on edit, click on add interface, bridge group interface. Now give it a name. I will give a name of BVI1 or BVI group 1. Group ID will be number 1, and I'm selecting gig 0/3, that is the interface. Going to the IPv4, if you want to give any IPv4 address, I will say that I have used 1020, so I will use 30.1.1/20. I created a bridge group interface. So I'm giving a name. The of that interface is the BVG1. That is the name of the interface. Group ID is number 1. Okay, I'm selecting gig 0/3. That will be interface which will be in my group. And IPv4 address, I'm just giving an IP address. And again, I can have one more interface in that one that's belong to the same group. You can group to multiple interfaces in this one. So 3 and 4 belongs to the group ID 1. So I will click OK. Now adding interfaces into bridge group will remove all the interface group, security zone, IPv4 address, and H and everything. All the configuration on these two interfaces, which I said gig 0/3 and 4, all the configuration will be removed from that. So you have to be careful before selecting those interfaces. Since on my topology, I do not have any configuration on both of those interfaces, so that's why I'm selecting. So click on yes and click on save.
Don't you have to enable the physical interface?
Sorry, once.
Don't you have to enable the physical interface?
I did not enable those both interfaces, so I just configured that one. What I did was just configured that, what do we say, bridge interface. I did not do anything.
Yeah, that's my question is, do you
Yeah,
have to enable the physical interface or not?
that's what I'm saying. Let's see whether it will automatically enable or we have to enable that interface. Let's see that one. Because up to this point, what I did was I only created, what I did created, I said that this is my BVI group. BVI group interface will be BVG1 and interface IP address will be 30.1.1.1. That's the only thing I have said. That's it. And I said that
Yes.
group 0/3 and 0/4 belongs to this group, particular ID1. And that's it. Nothing I have done anything. I did not enable gig 0/3. I did not enable gig 0/4 for now. I will just push that configuration first and I will see what is the effect. And after we see the effect, whether it is not enabling, then we will go ahead and we will do the enabling of the interface. Let's continue now. You see that once I create the BVI interface, you see that BV1 and the name it will be BVG1 and it has assigned the IP address. I did not enable gig 3 and 4. So still they are shut down mode. So let's go ahead and deploy that one now.
Is it going to work without enabling the physical interface?
That's what I want to see now.
Okay.
As I said that I was trying to deploy this configuration before, so it was already failing in the virtualization. So this is a new installation. That's a blank FTD which I am using now. Let's see. If the configuration is being pushed, let's verify with the CLI too. I'll go to the CLI first. FTD1. And then Okay. And I got the CLI. So let's wait until this configuration is been finished. So once this configuration is been finished, we will see what is the effect of that. Now again, to see that you click on this notification over here, you see that the task which is running. So individually, you can see the different tasks which are running. And if you want to remove the completed task, click on remove completed task and it will remove the list which has been already completed. Now you will get most of the time these errors with the help one, so just ignore it. You see that this is a security intelligence feed because my FTD does not have communication with the ISP, so that's the reason it is unable to download that security intelligence feed. And also it is not able to update its URL filtering policy. And also the AMP network, which I currently don't have, so that's the reason it is giving you errors. Now, two warnings, those are AM and URL because those are the critical one. One is a critical, which is a security intelligence, which have all the details. We will look into that one later. But most of the time in the health, definitely you will have these errors and warnings. All right, successfully applied. And I will just go back to my FTD and I will say that show interface IP brief and enter that one. And you see that I do have this one. All right, successfully deployed. So now what I'm going to do is that since I do have a gig 0/3 interface now,
Can we ping that interface
and gig
from your router?
0/4, yeah. But in my topology, if I go back, I do have a gig 0/4 connected, but not gig 0/3. So what I will do, I will go ahead and utilize this gig 0/4 and I will assign the router interface into the same network that is 30.1.1.0/24. Right, so let's go to ISP2 and I will change that IP address temporarily to IP interface 3 and I will say that the page gig 0/0 IP address will be 30.1.1.2 and no chat, that should be good. And if I say that see that I'm not able to ping. Yeah, I should be able to ping, but I'm not. So let's go back to my topology and let's go back to the device management. Now, only one thing we have to confirm, that is whether it has enabled the gig 0/3 or not, 3 and 4 by default or not. I think we can also see in over here, that is gig 0/3 and 4. You see that administratively down.
Mm-hmm.
So it did not enable it. So we have to enable it. But you see that what is the difference here? Gig 0/3 and 4 are now configured with the same address of the BBI interface. All right, so let's go ahead.
So does it?
Yeah.
How does the BBI interface work again? BBI is what? What's BBI or BBG?
This is your FTD, right? And this is my gig 0/3, 0/4, and 0/3, right? Now, BBI interface is a virtual interface, that is BBG1 interface, which I have given, and the IP address I have given as a 10.1.1/24. You can see this one as a switch in between, and you created a SVI, for example, maybe VLAN number 10, and you said that VLAN number interface VLAN number 10, IP address is 10.30.1.1/24, and these two interfaces are belonging to VLAN number 10. Now the connected host, which is like, for example, router is connected and it has an IP address of 30.1.1.2/24. Now, whenever this SVI is there and belonging to the same VLAN, which is of the SVI VLAN number 10, it is able to communicate with each other, right? Because they reside on the same subnet and the same VLAN. The concept is the same thing over here, but the only difference is that we are not assigning any VLANs over here. We are just saying that these two interfaces are now belonging to what? BBI group 1.
So those two interfaces can talk to each other.
So these two interfaces can talk to each other, but same terminology, same ideology. But the only difference they have done that instead of giving the VLAN, now they have saying that okay, this is the VLAN. Nothing changing.
VVI one. Yeah, you still give them a group
Yeah.
group ID like VVI one, VVI two.
All right,
Okay.
so let's go ahead and enable that. Okay, so the gig 0/3 is not connected, so I will just enable gig 0/4. That's where my router is connected. I would say enable uh, nothing else. I will just click
I
OK
think that's like
and click on save and deploy that one now. And also, whenever I deploy the BVI interface, I did not check the name if. So I will just check the name if also over here. I will show that show name if. You see that BVI, the name if is BVG1, and you see that security is all zero for everything. Doesn't matter because security zone if now doesn't matter in the FTD. Right, so the name if was BVG1, that is the name I have given, but the interface name is BVI1, virtual interface. All right, so I'm just enabling. So let's wait until this one has been deployed. So after deploy, I should see that gig 0/4 should be administratively up. So once that has been up, so let's go ahead and ping again. So I'm going to troubleshoot one by one things over here. Okay. So first thing what I did was I created a BVI, I pushed that configuration. I see that, okay, gig 0/3 and 4, they did not enable automatically. So I came to know that I have to enable it manually. So that's why I enable the gig 0/4 now. Another thing I want to know now, once I deploy this configuration, whether I have to give any name to that interface or not. So now this configuration is being pushed now. So I will go to ISP2 and I will do the same thing now, ping. See that still it is not pinging. But if I go to my FTD now this time, it is up.
Yeah, one of the interfaces is still down because when you put those two interfaces together,
Yeah.
they work together logically. So
Now
interface 4 is still down.
Still I'm not able to ping now.
Yeah, what I'm saying is one of the two VVI interfaces is still down. You only enable one.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be mattering. Okay, I will enable the another one if you like. Okay, let's go ahead. Because that interface is not connected to any other device. That's my issue. So that's why I did not enable. But anyhow, if you see the concept, there is a virtual interface which is available in the FTD, right? So that means if one of the interface is enabled, that I should be able to ping.
Yeah.
I will enable the other one too. And now what I will do this time also that for the gig 0/4, I will go ahead and provide a name if. I will just enable this one, click on OK, go to gig 0/4. I will just name this one as a BVI gig 4 and click on save, push the configuration.
So if we are pinging and pinging is not, do we have a log on FMC to see what is going?
I'm just trying to explain like what are the requirements in this one whenever you're creating the BVI. So
yeah, I understand. My question is, does FMC have logging where we can see the traffic log and see what happened? Maybe the fire FTD is blocking it or not.
I did not understand your question.
Do we have log like monitor here, monitor tab on FMC where we can see the log?
Deployment of log?
No, the traffic log.
Okay, the traffic log, yes, we will come back to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Traffic logs, yes. As the all, you see that analysis, these are the different ones.
Okay.
All are related to the events, traffics, and everything. So we will come back to that one later on. But let's just
Okay.
now focus on the routing now. All right, so that's all done. So I will come back to my FTD again. I will say that show name it, and you see that big name it. So now I will go ahead to ISP2 and I will try to ping now. Again, now I'm able to ping. Now, why I did this one step by step is just to make you understand that whenever you are dealing with the FTD, right? Whatever the interface you are dealing with, I'm dealing with gig 0/4. Now, this is a part of a bridge group, right? This is a part of a bridge group, but still I have to assign this interface for a name. If I need to assign a name for it. So if you remember the traditional firewall, how it works, traditional firewall of the Cisco, whenever you're configuring any interfaces, until you provide any name to that interface, it will not work. Same terminology here. So until I provided the name if, the interface did not work. So that means gig 0/3 does not have any name if now. That means it will not work. I need to provide a name if. And also I provided a name if for this virtual interface. Two things I did here. I did have a gig 0/3, 0/4. An example is that gig 0/5. I do have these three interfaces and I do have a virtual interface BBI1. For each and every interfaces, I enable that one, except this one. And I have given a name if for each and every one. So until unless you assign a name if and enable those interfaces, the traffic is not gonna reach to you, not able to communicate with the FTP. Could be that bridge group. Now,
Yes.
what I did was now I created a FTP. That's good. Now, gig 0/3, gig 0/4. That is my FTD with the BBI1, which consists of 30.1.1.1/24.4. Next, this might be like gig 0/5, gig 0/6. Again, these two interfaces now belong to BB2, which has a 40.1.1.1/24. Same thing. After creating these two things, now if I want to communicate with each other, the only thing I have to do is that in the policy now, I have to enable. I have to say that, okay, these two policies, these are the two groups. I only assigned a name if to these particular interface, physical interfaces. Now, but if I go to my policy will be asking about the zone. But I assigned zone for whom? Virtual interfaces, right? If you remember, I assigned a BVG1, that is the name if, and if I go back to my zone, security zone, where did I get the zone name? That's the name if, zone name I need to provide. Let me check the zone name. I also given the zone name. I think it might be BBI, VLAN 10, maybe something. Don't remember exactly. Let me check what zone I have given. I will go to BBI, edit that one. Okay, it did not ask any zone over here. You see that? Uh-huh. Now, if I want to communicate between these two, I did not do any testing. Let's do the testing now because I did not create two virtual groups. So another virtual group is that I do have that virtual group in, if I go back to my topology, okay, gig 0/6, I will create that one. that is directly connected to my router, this one. And I will also check what is the subnet so that I can just provide the same thing. It's 100.1.1.1. So I will go back to my FTD. I will create one more bridge group interface. I will say that this name it will be BVG number 2. ID will be number 2, and gig 0/6 will be assigned to it, and IP address will be 100.1.1.10/24. And click OK. All right, yes. And I will go to gig 0/6 as usual. Click on enable, and I will give a name as a BV2 gig 06, and I will not assign anything. I will just enable. Click on OK. That's it. And click on save. I did not do any testing. I'm just doing with you now. And click on deployment. So let this configuration go off. Once the configuration has gone up, I will try to ping first before I create any policies. All right. So at this point, what I'm going to do is that I'm just having one more router which is connected to gig 0/6, and that router is inside R1. And I did created one more virtual interfaces, that is BV2, which is of 100.1.1.10/24. Now, my requirement is that if Cisco says that if you have the BV1 and BV2 interfaces configured, that means you are able to communicate between these two bridge groups, BV1 and BV2.
Mhm.
Now, to communicate that one, I did not check the document in detail about how the communication happens. I just check the document how to create those interfaces. So what I'm going to do is that before I create any policies or try to check for the policies, I will just directly ping from one bridge group to another bridge group.
So I have a question.
Yes.
The interfaces on the FTD,
Yep.
does it allow ping by default?
Nah, it does not. But
Because
here
I
we
see
are.
we've been testing the interfaces with ping.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
it's
But
responding.
when I create a policy, it will ask me for the zones, right? But here I don't have any zones. If you remember, I told that before it might be associated
No,
with zones.
I'm not talking about the policy now.
Yeah,
Remember all the interfaces we've been configuring.
no,
After we configure it, we test it with a ping command from the router.
Yeah, by default, I set to my policy that block each and every traffic. But
so why are you able to ping the interface from the
I'm
router?
just telling you that I'm trying to test that one, because in the policy, if you want to allow the traffic, it uses the zone. Okay, I created a zone. I said that gig 0/1 belongs to inside zone, correct? But
yeah, but we ping those interfaces before, and the ping was working. Remember?
But the only thing is that I was just pinging to my FTD directly. That's it. I was
Yes,
not
that's what I'm
pinging.
saying.
I was not pinging through my FTD.
Yes, I understand. The traffic does not go across the firewall. But my question is, the interface itself, does it allow ping by default?
Through firewall traffic is allowed. Because the traffic will be disconnected when it hits the firewall. But through firewall is not allowed. Here, the situation is that my BVI1 is on 30.1.1.1 network, right? But BVI2 is in the 100.1.1.1 network. My problem here is that if I want to allow between these two, if these two groups want to communicate, my understanding so far is that I need to create a policy to allow these two to ping each other, because I said to my policy by default it should be blocked. But in this bridge group, I did not assign any zone. So if I do not assign any zone, I'm not able to utilize my policy here. So that's what I'm trying to check here. I'm doing a testing with you, live testing now. All right, so configuration is now complete. So if I go back to this one, so if I say that show IP interface. All right, so these two interfaces have now been created. So if I go back to my inside R1, so if I say that ping 100.1.1.10, I should be able to ping now. But according to my topology now, what I did was I created the two bridge groups now. Two bridge groups are available now. So let me take you on the whiteboard before I understand here. So it's pretty important because I also did not do the configuration. This is the first time, but
Can I see the command line of the
yeah,
router
sure.
real quick?
Command line, I did not create anything like nothing new. I just assigned the IP address. That's it. Nothing else.
No, sorry, of the for the FTD.
FTD. Yep, this one.
Okay, one sec. Don't just hold it. The interface 3 and 4 serials the IP.
One.
Why does the interface has the IP of BVT1, but it doesn't carry the IP of BVT2?
It has an interface here, BB2.
Yeah, but when you look at the interface profile, the IP address assigned to interface 3 and 4.
Yeah, that's the same one.
Okay, so BVT2 is attached to
6.
interface 6. Okay, all right,
Now,
makes sense.
my what I'm trying to do now, the host which is connected on gig 0/6, I want to communicate with gig 0/4 router.
Yeah, you need a security rule for that.
Yeah, that's what. But if you want to go to security rules, what it is going to ask, what is the zone? But I did not give any zone in this BVI groups, right? So
Let's see.
if I go to policy, if I want to allow between any subnets, my policy will say that what is the group. But did I assign any zones to it? No. So if I scroll up, gig 0/1, I did not create the zone, but it automatically created this one. So if I say that show name it, you see that? I did not create it but when I was creating the inside interface, I created the inside security zone by this name. When I created the sub interfaces for the DMZ, I created the security zone by this name. But I just given a name, it automatically took that the group name as the zone. So that's what I want to check in my policy. If I want to allow these two groups to communicate, I did not assign like create any zones, but it automatically created. So I will click on add role. And you see that in the zones, I don't have those zones now. You see that DMZ VLAN 10, VLAN 20, out, whatever might be the inside zone. These are the three zones which I created today. But I don't have any zone that says that BVG1 or BVG2. So now my testing is that now since I cannot create any policies, so by default it should be allowed, right? So
yeah,
because routing is done, my firewall knows the information. And if I say that show IP route, I don't have the route, so I will say that config T IP route 000 default route, so that there is no problem with the routers. That is 100.1.1.10. That's done. I will go to one more. That is the ISP2. So IP route. You see that there is no default route. So IP route will be default route 30.1.1.1. If I say do ping 30.1.1, I should be able to ping right. Now my routing is done, so I will just say that ping 30.1.1.2. You see that? It is not allowing.
Mm.
Now, this is what I want to understand now. How to create the policy for that one, because I did not look into that one. I'm trying to get to know this one, so how we are going to achieve this one. Let's see what we can do now. Now coming to the network, so what I can say that I would just say that any IPv4 from the source, any IPv4 to the destination, and the ports. I'm allowing all the ports, and I want to do the login at the beginning of the connection. So I don't have any zone. So I'm saying that any zone to any destination for my testing purpose. What I'm saying that allow all the ports. It includes ping and everything. I'm just logging that one, and I will give this one as a BVI rule because we are creating this role for the BVI. So click on add. So at this moment, what I told to my policy, any traffic which is coming from any zone and destination is any zone, please allow the traffic. That's it. This is
Does the I have a question. The rule you just created,
yeah.
where you, let's assume you have 10 FTD, where do you select the device that the rule will be applied on? Does he ask you the policy assignment?
You see that this is the policy assignment, and it will show
Yeah,
you
it
that
but
this policy is assigned to FTD1. That's the only FTD
yeah,
I have.
but it did you select that or you did that
Now
by
it's by default it is been selected here. That's it. Because when I configured my FTD, I said that this policy belongs to FTD1. So,
okay, okay.
so without this policy, there is no FTD. So every
All right.
FTD has a policy. So let's go to deploy and deployment.
So if I add a new FTD to this FMC,
Yep.
I can also add it to that policy.
Yeah, the same
Right.
policy you can utilize, but you have to be careful because whatever the rule you created, everything will apply to that FTD also.
Yeah.
But if you don't
Yeah.
want that FTD to apply the same policy, you can create a new policy and deploy it.
Yeah.
So whenever
Because
we
my
are,
environment,
yep,
because my environment, we already have a policy in place
yes,
for the device we have today. So I'm thinking if we are replacing that device, we can just once we bring it to FMC,
nothing to
we can
worry
add
about
it
the
to the same
policy.
policy.
Yes,
Yeah.
when you deploy, the only thing is that you will be using your IPv4 addresses and all those things. But policies, it will stay on FMC and you can just select the same policy and you can push it. So whatever you have configured under that policy, everything will be pushed to that FTD.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. Right. So let's deploy this one. And once the deployment has been done, so this time I will check because I don't have the zone. I want to understand the communication because I did not find any document. Policy has been applied now. Routing has been applied. That means let's go to my again the same thing. This time I will try to ping now. You see that? Bingo.
Man,
I don't
that's
have zones
BS.
in place. That's the problem.
So how do you assign zone to the BVI?
And that's what I'm trying to make you understand here. It's automatically assigned the zone, but you're not able to assign it in the policy. I can see this zone. I can see, sorry, I can see these two zones. I can see this zone, but I cannot see these two zones. So whenever you're configuring the policy now, what I can do to segment this one, saying that to my policy, allow these two networks. Zones can be anything now because I don't have a specific zone assigned to the bridge groups. So what I can say to my policy is that instead of checking for the zone, check for the networks and check for the ports. So I will do the same thing now. If I go back to here and I will edit the same role, but this time in a different way.
So if we check the traffic log
Yep.
for this traffic,
Yes, you
what
can.
zone does it say the traffic is coming from?
Analysis, connection events. Right? You see that? Allow. You see
Yeah,
that? Ingress security zone, egress, there is nothing.
nothing. Come on.
And you see that application protocol is this one. And that's the concept of the BVI group. That means you are using your FTD as a switch one. You're using your FTD as a switch now because this is my FTD. I do have interfaces. Now this is the BVI1, or sorry, BVG1 group, and this is the BVG group. But if you see at the switch, what happens in the switch is that whenever you have these two VLANs, it is automatically, if you are enabling the routing, without any problem, they are able to communicate with between two
Hey,
VLANs.
Moise.
Yes.
Moise.
Yes.
You know what you can do? You can create zone at the physical interface level. You can assign zone to the physical interface, not the BVG interface. Okay. Let's try that and see.
Now I've already assigned the zone. Okay, I did not assign the zone to the physical, so you want to try out with this one. Okay.
Yes. I think that way it will make the zone show in the traffic log. And you'll be able to select that zone in the policy.
Okay, I will also try that one too. But before, I just want to make sure that the clarity is been done. But the actual
go for it.
But the actual configuration is like if you have a switch, when you have two SVIs, if you enable the routing, it is automatically communicated, right? The same concept applies here, but the only difference is that you're using the policies to check the traffic, and allow the traffic. But here you don't have that capability, but here you do have a capability. Now you're using your FTD as a switch also, plus IPS. Right? In the routed mode, it is allowing you to do the routing, but it is also allowing you to configure the routes for you so that you can check the traffic in this one. Now, coming to your point, you said that you want me to assign the zone. So let's go ahead and assign, try that one too. And after assigning the zone, again, I did the same rule with the zones now. And I will also allow a particular port that is maybe ICMP, but I will not allow the telnet, but I will configure the telnet on the routers to check whether it is blocking or not. Sounds good?
Yep.
All right, so we do have two interfaces which are working, that is gig 0/4 and gig 0/6. So I will go to 4 now. And I will assign a security zone. Yes, I do have an option. Oh, you see that? I'm not able to see the previous zones now. But that's it. So new zone. Okay, let's go to BBI. Gig 0/4 is located on the outside. So I will say outside, BBI out zone, and also BBG1 out. Right? So, okay, click on OK, creating the zone. Create OK. Now gig 0/6, I will keep it as an inside one. So I will just go ahead and I will assign this one as a BBG2.
Now the other zone is now showing.
And click on OK. And now click on save. Now I should be seeing these two zones now.
How about interface 0/3?
0/3 is not connected, so that's why I'm not configuring anything on that one.
All right.
Only 4 and 6 are connected. That's why I'm utilizing that one. Now let's segregate our traffic now.
Did you deploy the policy?
No. I'm editing the policy. I'm doing the configuration together, and I will push it at once now.
Okay.
I saved that one configuration in the FMC for now. I will edit that one. Now, if I go to see, yeah, you see that? Okay, so I'm
Yeah,
saying that source and destination, because two-way traffic I want to allow. And
yeah.
this time I want to allow only ICMP. So I will select that ICMP on the protocol.
Is there a way to search through this
They have this
set of?
limited list, so that should be fine. Click on add. And again, the login is the same thing. Just click on save. Now looks good. Inside to
Yeah.
outside of the BVI group, any network, but ICMP is only allowed. Click on save, and I will now deploy them. All right, so deploy. And deploy, and deploy. So until then, let's go ahead and configure the telnet on the both the routers. Config the line with y04 times import telnet, login local, and exit. Username will be Cisco, privilege will be 15, and password will be Cisco. I will configure the same thing on the inside router. For passport input telnet, login will be local, exit. Username will be Cisco, privilege will be 15, and password will be Cisco. So now once the policy is be deployed, what I have to see is that it should only allow the ICMP traffic, but it should not allow the telnet traffic. So my telnet should be blocked, but ICMP should be allowed. So once that is been done, that means we completed the BVI interface, and that should be understood now. So what I will do, I will go back to my inside router or outside router, because bidirectionally everything is allowed. So I will say that do ping 100.1.1.1. I'm able to ping, but do telnet 100.1.1. Okay, telnet here is blocked. That means now my policy is working. Good.
And if we check the traffic log now, it's going to be showing the source zone and the destination zone, right?
Yes, this time it should show now. So go to analysis, connection, event connection. Yes. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Now happy?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so let's move forward with the another interface that would be
Inline.
inline. Okay, inline. Let's move forward to inline. I do have a topology for that one too. Inline. Inline, this one. All right, so inline mode requirements. Okay, so one more thing before I move forward, I think that so name it. Yep, here I go. 4 and 6. That's okay. Okay, okay, that's fine. All right, so let's move forward. Move forward with the inline one. So, okay, I don't have any inline over here now. Let's move forward to the inline one now. Now, I said that inline mode will be the layer 2 mode, right? Bump in a wire.
Yes. Yes.
Now, there is a requirement that you see that I do have an edge router, and which is connected to the branch router, and there is a VPN running between them. And now the connection is such a way that these two interfaces are acting as a layer 2 now for the routers. So forget about the configuration, how it is been done, but logically, what this router sees is that it is connected to the switch, maybe for now, because I have configured in such a way that the traffic, whichever it is happening, that 100.1.1 network, which is running EIGRP, whenever the traffic is being forwarded to this particular interface, This traffic will be forwarded onto the tunnel. From the tunnel, it will reach to the router. From the router, it will be forwarded to the gig 0/1. So basically what I'm saying is that whenever the traffic, this one router is sending a traffic, it will just be taken and dumped into this interface. That's it. Simple as that. Now, whenever the traffic is being reached here, so I want to configure my gig 0/5 and gig 0/6 as the inline interface. Okay, 5 and 6. Now, my configuration should be in such a way that my FTD is acting as a bump in a wire now, but I want to allow the EIGRP traffic. I want to allow the communication between these two networks now. Okay, after I configure. But there should be a policy in place which says that ICMP should be blocked, but telnet should be allowed this time. So once I do the configuration, how the routers will look each other is that they are connected directly now. This is how they think. But what's going on in the background is that to make this happen, I have configured the VPN, I have configured the tunnel, I have configured these interfaces as a layer 2 interfaces, blah, 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 encryption, encapsulation, or whatever it might be. I have done so many things so that my communication should be secure between these two routers, between these two branches, because these two are located in different places. Right? Did you get the idea what I'm trying to explain you?
Yes, sir.
Right? Now,
got it.
Router and router. Now, this is connected to my FTD, and this is one more router. Now here I do have a network of 100.1.1.0/24, and here I also have a 100.1.1.0/24. Now I need to configure these two routers in such a way that whenever the traffic is being received, it should be inspected. After inspection, ICMP should be blocked and telnet should be allowed. Now, first thing what I will do is that first I will allow the ICMP and I will also allow the EIGRP. If I allow the EIGRP, I am running EIGRP between these two routers. There should be a neighbor relationship of the EIGRP. All right, so I will configure the policies for my test number 1. For the test number 2, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to allow EIGRP traffic, but I'm going to block ICMP. Number 3, I'm going to allow telnet. Let's configure that one. To configure that one, first I will go ahead and remove the configuration of gig 0/6 now.
Yes,
So to remove that one, what I have to do is that I need to delete the PVI2 because that is hosting gig 0/2. I will delete that one first. So once I delete that one, then I can go to gig 0/6. You see that it already removed that one. And I will also remove the name over here. I'm just clearing the configuration. And there is no security zone should be applied. Click on it. Gig 0/6 is empty. And gig 0/5, I will also do the same thing. I will just enable no name it, no security zone, and that's it. At this point, my 5 and 6 are ready to configure the inline. So I will click on save and I will just push it again so that it takes make changes on the FTD now. Go to the deployment. And also I will just delete the rule in the policy also so that we don't have any contradiction.
Yeah, I was wondering if it will allow you to deploy.
Yeah, because
normally it's not supposed to allow you to remove the zone because the zone is referenced in the rule.
Right, so yeah. Zone is referenced in the rule. You cannot delete the zone.
Yeah.
But you can remove the interfaces from the zone. That should be fine. Right, that rule is being removed. That's all good now. deploy. So now my inside R1 router is being configured with the IP address. I think the EIGRP is also running on that one. Go to deploy. So I will just check that one before I proceed. If I say that do show run section EIGRP, see that I'm running EIGRP. That's fantastic. And I will create one interface loopback 0. IP address will be 19.1.1.1. And that's fine. Now let's go back to my one more router. So I'm just configuring the routers before I this is my inside R2 now. Do show run section EIGR3. Do show IP interface brief. That's all good. And line VTY024 transport put telnet. Login will be local. And username will be simple. Privilege will be 15 and password will be 16. All right, my routers are in place. They have been configured now. Now, what I want to do is that I will now configure on my FTD now. So basically, this don't worry about this configuration now because this configuration has been taken place now. The only thing is that traffic is now coming in and reaching to my FTD. So I need to configure my FTD now 5 and 6 as an inline, and I have to allow the EIGRP and ICMP on the first test. I will do the same thing now. So I will go to my devices, device management. And I will configure the gig 0/5 and 6 as the inline mode. So click on edit and it will take you to the interface. And on the interface, first I will do what? Go to inline sets. You see that? I don't have any inline sets. That's good. Go back to interface now. First, make the interface as an inline. Then only you are able to see the, whenever you're trying to create a set, it will show you the inline uh, interfaces. I'll go to 5 and I will say that should be enabled. Mode should be, okay, where is the inline mode? No,
Let's try another interface.
the same thing. Okay, inline. I should be showing the interface as an inline. Let me see what's happening. All right, so we were talking about the inline set. So let's finish up the inline set. The only mistake what I was doing is that I did not provide the name if. So without name if, it's not accepting anything. So I just need to assign that name if. That's it.
Yeah, zone will be known.
Yeah, we don't require the zone, but we do require the name if.
Mm.
Right. So once we provide the name if, it will give you that these interfaces are available. You can use this one to make it as an inline set. All right, so let me log in again. That's the wrong password. And let's see the existing one, and let's go to the interfaces directly once we got them. I think the gig 0/5 is the outside one. Gig 0/6 is the inside one.
What did you do to your voice again? Your voice is gone.
Now,
Yeah,
you can hear me, right?
I can barely hear you, but I think we have to manage this for the next 10 minutes. So let's just continue.
All right, so gig 0/5, which will be the outside interface. So I will just edit that interface and give a name. That's it. I'm giving a name if, click on OK. And gig 0/6, edit, and I'm just giving a name if as inside, inline inside, and click on OK. So once that is been done, I will go back to my inline sets now. Since there is no security zone added, so I will click
Add
on
inline
add
set.
inline. When you see that,
Oh, good. Oh, good. That's
so I'm just
good.
giving a name as inline, and I will select these both. Both of them are there. That's the name I have given to them. So click on OK. Click on yes, and again it will give the same error, same warning saying that all the configuration will be removed from that. Now, if I go back to my interfaces this time, I want to assign the zones now. So they are in the inline set zone. Now the thing is, next thing is that I need to assign the, you see that I don't have any mode is inline security zones. Create a new one. And I will say that inside out, that is the outside zone. Click on OK. And you see that I don't have any IPv4, IPv6 address configuration. It's only hardware configuration. Click on OK. And I will do the same thing, gig 0/6. It will be the inside inline inside. So I will create a new inline inside. Click on OK and OK. So now these security zones are different from the routed mode security zones. Okay. So these are different and these are different. So be careful. So click on save. Now, test number one, I want to allow the ICMP and the EIGRP configuration so that whenever EIGRP configuration is allowed, these two routers should be able to form a neighborship. So what I will do, I will just go ahead and go to the policies now, access control policy now. Click on edit. Now this is an IPS policy, so I will give a rule name as IPS. And I'm saying that, see that inside. Now I want the traffic to be bidirectional in the whenever you're configuring in the IPS mode interfaces. Make sure that your traffic is bidirectionally accepted. So if you allow only one side, then other side will sending you the configuration. So in my case, now I do have an EIGRP. So what's happening is that EIGRP is sending the probes from this side. So this router will receive, because if I allow the one unidirectional, this side the traffic is allowed, that means it will receive. But whenever it is going to send, it will be rejected. That means my neighborship will not be up with the EIGRP. So that's why you have to configure the bidirectional. Now coming to the ports, I want to allow the EIGRP. That will be the port number 88, I think, EIGRP. And also I will select the ICMP, both of them together. So first select the ICMP, ICMP allowed. Click on add and select the EIGRP. See that port number 88, click on add. So when I select the ICMP, it is automatically adding, but when I select a different port, it is only over here, and I should click on add. Now logging again, the same thing. I want to log it at the beginning of the connection. Click on add.
So you are allowing ICMP and IGRP.
EIGRP.
Okay.
So if I allow EIGRP, the neighborship will be formed, and I can confirm that okay, it's working. So I will just go ahead and deploy now. It's a pretty straight lab, this one. Now again, one more most important thing is that I am running this FTD in the routed mode, not in the transparent mode. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just utilizing some interfaces as the IPS mode. This communication finish one, this communication is finished. But until then, my next number two, my rule number two, I need to create that number two, right? I'll go to access control. I will create one more rule and keep it ready. So whenever this deployment is been done, I can do the configuration and I can just come back to this policy, delete the policy, save and deploy. So I don't need to create the policy or rule again. I'm just keeping it ready. That's it. Right. So now click on edit once more and click one more add role for my second one. This one will be IPS2. And again, I will selecting the inside outside bi-directional, but this time I'm only selecting the port number 80 telnet. So you should have a telnet on this one. You see that telnet destination. So source can be anyone. Destination should be telnet port. And I want to log this one. Click on add and that's it. So that's the second testing rule. So the only thing I have to do next time is that once the configuration is being pushed, I need to delete the rule number one, save it and push the configuration and that's it. Now, if I go back to my notification task and you see that deployment successful. So now my deployment is successful means these two routers should now form the neighbor relationship automatically. So IP, IGRP neighbor, and you see that nothing. So that means something has happened. So gig 0/6, nothing is there. Gig 0/5 is 0/0 and 1. Let me see, I have put that one in the same VLAN or not. Gig 0/1 and 1/0 and 1/1. Yeah, that's fine. No problem with that one. That's all good. All right, so that's the problem. I need to enable the interfaces of this one. So IP interface brief, and you see that interface range. The interfaces are down, my router interfaces, so that's why I need to enable that one. Your slash okay one exit and this one. With range keep your slash 0 to 2 no set exit. And I will also enable the interface on this one too, because by default the gigabyte Ethernet, so these ones are like that's fine. Right, so let me okay, line protocol tunnel is up, my tunnel is up, that's all good. VPN tunnel is good. If I go back here, still it is do show IPX. Connect is still down, down, down. This should come up. Let's keep 0/0 on ER2. And it should be keep 0/3 on branch 2. Right, so one that is been up, 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 up. Yep, that's That's good. Sounds really good. You show external all. And now both of them are up. One side is still down. Just give me some time and both of them should be up. Up. That's good. Now we'll go to my actual router, that is my inside R2. And you see that my neighborship is up. Now, if I go back to my topology, you see that I do have these prefixes over here. I will go to my inside R1 and I will check whether I get the show IP route EIGRP. And you see that I got the routes. Now, if I go back to my inside R2, I should see this prefix 19.1.1.0 and do show IP route EIGRP. I can see that prefix. Now, as I said that EIGRP is allowed, that means it's working. I said that do ping 19.1.1.1 with source loopback 0. You see that ping is also allowed.
Can we check the traffic log as well?
Yeah, sure. Traffic log, and if I come back to analysis, connection events, and you should see that. Right, so traffic log 100.1.1.2 inside to outside, that is my, what do we say, inline zones. You see that that's the EIGRP traffic, and this is the ICMP traffic, which is from 19.1.1. That's a loopback I have been. Now let's go back to my policy. The another verification will be I just want to remove the ICMP. I want to allow the EIGRP, but I want to also allow the telnet, but I don't want to allow the ICMP. So now, rule number one, I said that EIGRP and ICMP. So if I delete the rule number one, what will be the problem now? So what will be the issue like if I delete the rule number one? What will happen?
What's rule number one doing? Allowing ICMP?
And EIGRP.
Oh, your route will be, you break.
Neighborship, exactly. So what I have to do, I don't need to delete that whole route rule, but I need to delete that port, that is ICMP. That's it. Save and push. Now this time I should not be allowed ICMP, but I should be allowed telnet traffic. So go ahead, deploy. That's your verification number 2. I just want to make sure that my policy is working as expected, because I configured multiple policies now, rules in that policy, and I have also deleted the ICMP code. Now, once this policy has been deployed, the only thing I need to verify is that telnet traffic has been allowed or not. Let's test that configuration now. And this time I should not be able to ping now. See that I am not able to ping now. But if I go back to my another router, that is this one, and if I do a telnet for, okay, I do have 2 of these. Okay, do telnet, what would be the one? 19.1.1.1, which, and you see that it is now allowing me to. So now I am on R2, the other side of the branch, and I'm able to do the telnet. That means my telnet is now working. All right, so that was your FTD inline mode. All right. The only thing is now left with the redundant interface and the tunnel interface.